What strategies have you found most effective for managing cloud costs and avoiding budget overruns, especially in decentralized IT structures? This goes
Yeah,
again to our FinOps discussion.
yeah. But cost is the biggest reason why we get brought in with a lot of customers is because they want to get their arms around their costs and get things done. And so FinOps engagements are really common right now. But the first thing that you want to do, it's kind of a brushstroke statement, but you want to foster a cost consciousness and accountability towards what's happening in the environment. This is really education and training. You want to train your people to think about cost and treat the cloud as though it was their own server. And so, if you had to run that on your family budget, what would you do? How would you handle that? And what would you do to manage your costs and maintain them? So training your teams on that and getting them to be cost conscious as they're building their infrastructure instead of just saying it needs 12 CPUs and 64 terabytes of RAM. What does it really need? Let's really dial it in and get it right. And then making sure that your non-technical staff is trained on best practices for cloud pricing and is able to have those conversations with the cloud vendors and say, listen, this is what we're looking for and this is what we're doing. And so then they can then understand when the technical teams say we need to provision XYZ resources, they can understand and ask the right questions about what's it going to cost and what's it really going to cost, not what do you think it's going to cost type discussions. The next would be to implement practical cost savings. So this is all that low hanging fruit, and there is so much of it within that 32% that you talked about at the beginning that's really waste within most clouds. This is things like shutting off your development environment. So setting up a scheduled job to power servers down so you don't get charged for them. You still pay for the storage, but you don't pay for the compute, which is a big part of that cost. So doing those kinds of things and then also implementing right sizing. So looking at your servers and really like analyzing them to say, is this the right configuration for this? Are we over provisioned on CPU, memory, or storage for it? And can we scale that down? Then implementing reserved instances and spot instances. So the cost savings that the vendors will give you if you're committing to long-term usage, that's really important for those cost savings mechanisms. And then where appropriate for sandbox or labs or things like that, leverage the free tiers. So spin up a new account to do a prototype, use the free tier stuff, and then destroy that account when you're done. So those would be some of the cost savings mechanisms that you could use. Proactive alerting is important for your budgets and for anomaly detection and regular reviews. Centralizing your expertise. So we're in a decentralized IT. Let's talk about centralizing expertise around governance so that you have the same, instead of having three people that are responsible for compliance, bring them into a team and bring them together so that they're more central as far as what they're doing. And then they can sort of, begin to develop those best practices within the organization that can be broad brushstrokes within that. And then going back and negotiating your vendor agreements better, right? As they come up for renewal, you want to take advantage of those. Some other things that you can do, game days are fantastic. You open up your teams to say we have XYZ use case, you give them some broad information and you turn the teams loose to go develop solutions, and you may implement those solutions within your environment as new applications, new services, new capabilities that you solve. And then the last piece of that is share the success, right? IT often only hears about the challenges and the problems and the things that went wrong. When there are success stories as far as things that you did with governance, we blocked this attack, or our compliance score has gone up for how well we're doing in the environment, or whatever those KPIs are. When you have successes, share those and communicate those broadly, because that helps drive a lot of the consciousness of governance within the environment.